All right, everyone. So we just got done watching Monday Night Raw, and man, what a fantastic Monday Night Raw this was. So we're not going to go through everything that happened. We're just going to go through, as you can see, we took a few notes on the things we wanted to talk about, and we'll go through those because there's really just two things that popped out in this show that I'm like, you know what? That's big. So let's go through it. All right. So the first thing is you see Gunther come out. Now, I love this version of Gunther, and I wish this was the version of Gunther we had gotten all throughout his title reign. He's out of control. He says, "Hey, I'm not losing control. You thought I was." But what's clear is that he's taking this to another level. He's even more vicious than he's ever been. That's a big deal. That's what we want to see from Gunther, right? And so I'm loving this, loving this, loving this. And the fans are booing him 110% now. This is not the Gunther from a few months ago where he was getting some cheers, getting some boos, but the character just was not completely flushed out. Now it is. Okay, this version of Gunther is a heel. He's just a straight heel, and he really is vicious. He really is vicious. So when Jey Uso comes out, and this obviously isn't at the same time Gunther's out there, but he comes out later. Well, Gunther starts talking about it, or Jey Uso starts talking about. He thinks Gunther is scared. So we're starting to get that aspect of it, right? Where you have Gunther who's kind of losing it now and is kind of going crazier and crazier, and Jey Uso is becoming more confident than he's been. So I like what they're doing. It's making this rivalry matter. I don't know what they're going to do at WrestleMania. My guess would certainly be they end up having him win, Jey Uso, but we don't know yet, right? This could be anybody's thing at this point. And so I like what they're building so far. This is key. You have to build this out. You have to make people hate Gunther and love Jey Uso. The crowd was so behind Jey Uso, as they almost always are, and they were so against Gunther. That's what they need. Part of the problem with his title reign so far has been, we didn't really know, was he a baby face or a heel up until this point, even when he was going up against a baby face. So great job on this segment, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. The next thing I want to talk to you about is they just had a small part of this, right? It was one of those inserted promos, but it was Io Sky talking about her kind of being an afterthought, right? That was the point. Was we have the triple threat match. Everybody's talking about Rhea Ripley. Everybody's talking about Bianca Belair, but she's saying no one will forget Io Sky, right? Nobody will forget the name Io Sky. I love that, and I've been one of the people that were kind of theorizing that they're going to have EO keep it because it didn't. I will say this: it doesn't make a ton of sense. All right, for them to have it go down the way it has if they didn't want EO to retain in some way after WrestleMania. In my opinion, once again, this is I'm just guessing, but it just doesn't feel like she would be in this match if they weren't planning this. And I think what they've done is they've been able to create a really cool rivalry between Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair and begin to have another EO Sky push. And the fans are behind it. I do think the fans like it. So I don't think, truthfully, she is an afterthought in this match. I think everyone just kind of is like, oh, okay. It's shocking that she's in there because no one thought they were going to have the title not be around Rhea Ripley's waist, right? No one thought that. Everyone thought, okay, they're putting this match on Raw. It's just kind of a, okay, look at this title match we have on Raw. No, no, no. They gave EO the win, and now she's going to have that title going into WrestleMania. So we'll see. But they're starting to push this narrative, right? This is what they are doing. And they're starting to push a narrative of, okay, Io Sky feels like she's being disrespected. They've done this multiple times. And so I have a feeling that's going to be something that we're going to see at WrestleMania. And then that might just start a feud between Rhea and Bianca that goes past Mania while Io can kind of have her own feuds while being champion. And then finally, big thing of the night. This was Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins. They are doing a fantastic job of really taking this rivalry from, okay, it has big names in it, to making this appointment viewing on that first night. There is bad blood now. There's 110%. There's not just the bad blood that we see between the three, but there's now bad blood between Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. There's a level of bad blood now between Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman, but there's a little bit of, they keep asking, everyone's asking for these favors, right? CM Punk, he got his, and now Seth Rollins is talking about his. So we're going to go through, as you can see in the screen here, a few of the different notes we took on it. So the first sign that this was not going the way Paul Heyman wanted was when Roman Reigns just blows past him to get a microphone. Doesn't even take the microphone. So from right there, we know, okay, he's not happy with Paul Heyman, and this isn't something he's going to, you know, be like, all right, this is fine. The crowd chants, "You effed up," to Heyman. Now, this is a big deal because Paul Heyman, look, he's one of the best guys in the business, in my opinion. Um, and everyone loves the tribal chief. But the fact that Paul Heyman is catching some heat, CM Punk hasn't quite caught that heat yet, but Paul Heyman is catching heat. He's getting a little bit of heat. So in a match that really has three baby faces, Paul Heyman can kind of shift who's the heel, right? That's something that we see. Roman calls Paul Heyman out for the favor. Now, one of the things here is that we do understand that Paul Heyman did it technically for Roman, right? He said, look, we need somebody. I'll call in this favor. But Roman Reigns isn't buying that. He's basic. And then when Seth comes out and he brings up, well, Paul made this choice, no one's forcing him to do it, Roman Reigns agrees, right? So that's kind of where we get everything. Seth also brings up, once again, the favor that Paul Heyman owes him, right? Now, this is not as well kind of baked in as the other favor, right? I don't know if this is actually going to lead to anything, but my one theory on this is that there's a potential for Paul Heyman really screwing everybody over and joining up with Seth Rollins. I don't know. That probably is not going to happen. That's a long shot, but I could see it because we're starting to get some heel vibes from Paul Heyman in a big way. And then obviously they get into a big fight, but it ends with Seth Rollins stopping both of them. Okay. And he's standing tall in the ring. I love what they're doing. Like I said, I was not as excited about this match just 2 weeks ago. I was excited for it because you have three really great wrestlers that are going to be in the ring competing. They're the biggest names in the business. I would love the match regardless. Paul Heyman will also be out there. So, and he's one of the greatest to ever do it. So it's like, you're not going to not like that match. But I didn't have the same excitement I had for some of these other matches. Now, there's some huge, huge excitement behind this. And if it wasn't for John Cena's heel turn, this thing would undoubtedly be on that second day. And we understand why it's over the Jey Uso match. I'm hoping there's a big twist that we get to see here. I really am, but I think they're doing a great job of building it up, and we'll have to see. So before we go, we're just going to give some of the other reactions. Obviously, the New Day is getting that title shot at WrestleMania. They were talking a little bit more here. You see the Intercontinental Fatal 4-Way with Penta, all these guys. They're getting into it a little bit. So WWE has set themselves up with a really good card at WrestleMania. They're doing a good job of building that card, and now it's just kind of all about them going through and making sure they deliver on that day. But overall, pretty good Monday Night Raw. I thought it was kind of like, okay, we're going to start out strong and we're going to end strong, with the middle not being quite as strong as the rest of it. But that's, to be expected. I'm not going to get too upset over that. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.